during the process of crafting, because I love that word craftsmanship, and that I think that is like one of the key words that describes the work that you guys do, craftsmanship. What's that first step in crafting like an idea or a theme for a project like Letters for the Future?
Well, that Letters for the Future, I mean, first of all, we're so lucky, like these two were talking about, going and, playing for a huge auditorium of musicians and non-musicians, classical musicians. And for Letters for the Future, these are two amazing composers that we got to work with, right? Jennifer Higdon wrote Time for Three Concerto. Before my time was the first concerto written for Time for Three. That was kind of the statement of Time for Three, saying, hey, look, we're musicians. We like playing a bunch of things. These are our roots. And that is still being played today. And, fortunately, I got to record it with them.
Let's go.
After all these years,
Put your stamp on it.
Yes.
So
big time.
We had that. We had that concerto. And then when looking for another composer to write a concerto for the group, which is now, we had to think real hard. There are so many options out there. There's so many great composers. And Kevin puts, his vocabulary, his musicianship was just so in line with ours. He came to so many of our shows, soaked in what we are as a group now, and then put it down on paper, interpreted his version of what Time for Three is. And that became his concerto, Contact. And we're thrilled about it. That craftsmanship is different from when we're writing together. This is the other side where we're portraying us and someone else is interpreting what we are. So it was a really unique experience to be working with a master like Kevin puts.
It was also a lot of, for the album, it was a lot of luck too.
Yeah.
We have to say that if it weren't for the pandemic, this probably wouldn't have come together like this, because since Charles joined the band, we've been doing a lot of exploring. But there's kind of a couple things. So first of all, Jennifer's piece that she first wrote about, like Charles was saying, was sort of a response to what Time for Three was sort of doing coming out of Curtis, which was, we were really influenced by the album Oh Brother Where Art Thou, which is like, before 9/11. Yeah, that album before 9/11, that movie came out, the Coen Brothers movie came out, and Americana, that soundtrack really represented, for the first time in a lot of people's mind, the folk tradition here in America. And then 9/11 happened, and there was also Appalachian Waltz, by the way, Mark O'Connor, Edgar Meyer, and Yo-Yo Ma, which in the classical world and audiences is just like, here's some, crossover classical cast just totally doing Americana. And us in school, we were really influenced by that because we were constantly trying to connect with our friends in the city who don't go to places like Curtis or don't understand it. And we wanted to show how amazing Beethoven is. So then 9/11 happened, and then there was a real focus on Americana. And so we were sort of dabbling. We were guests of Americana. We were not aficionados of bluegrass at all. But Jennifer Higdon wrote something based on this culture, something on earth, something about community that's very specific. And then when Kevin wrote, just naturally, he wanted to write about something that has to do with the other, something that talks about hope, about, space travel is about looking at the new and the possibilities and advancing human achievement. And then when the pandemic happened, first of all of our performances and premieres of Contact by Kevin Puts were postponed. But then we were thinking, wow, we have all these dates with orchestras who have services, but no audiences can come to the hall. I wonder if they'd be willing to record something. And then our amazing team said, y'all are so close to Philadelphia Orchestra. We're like, well, yeah, but would they be into that?
I mean, they're right there.
And they said, they pushed us, and they said, we got a response within 5 minutes.
Yo, word.
5 minutes.
Happens.
Never happens. And we gave them the idea of pairing these two concertos, and they went for it. And then other partners came on board. And so, Drew, when you're asking about putting an album together, it's amazing that we had all the ingredients kind of at our feet. And it was literally about just kind of putting them together into something, and it really kind of just made sense. It was a lot of luck and a lot of hard work.
And the people behind it, you know? I mean, Drew, someone that supported this album was our mutual friend, Michael Marks. And Drew won the Entrepreneurship Award.
Oh, wow,
Juilliard.
really?
Alan Marks, yeah.
And he's the man. And he still talks about you, man.
What?
Wow.
Yes,
Bro.
Wow.
Bro,
He
he put me on, man.
He's the man. So he's a big supporter of this album and a whole bunch of people behind the scenes, you know? So it does take a small village.
Yeah, big time.
And can I interject really quickly? I just wanted to highlight just how natural that was. You know what I mean? You guys saw a situation, you adapted, and through the adaptation, you came out with an album. For me, I just try to force things. It's like, okay, we need an album. You know, Christmas is coming up. It's July. Let's start recording some stuff. You know,
That's good though.
That is really good.
It's part of it, but I love how you guys also let the art flow.
For sure.
With collaborations with the composers that felt right. You didn't just like reach out. It was like this thing that needed to happen for both parties. And I think that's what makes this so unique. So I really thank you for sharing that story with us.
Well, it's always easy at the end.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's such a journey to get there.
That's the truth.
You know, it's like now when we go to play, you know, this concerto, both concertos, you know, I feel so natural, you know, I feel so organic, you know, things totally in my wheelhouse, get up on stage. It's like, oh God, just nothing but fulfillment and enjoyment, spreading inspiration. But it doesn't start like that.
No.
You know, it starts with fear and anxiety and a lot of road to pave. But like, you know, at the end, when you have that joy, and if you can kind of like remember it from start to finish, then, you know, you're in a good place, hopefully, for the projects to come. But that force that you're talking about, I mean, we'd all be lying to ourselves, right?
If it wasn't.
Yeah. That's such a huge part of the process.
Yeah. Fear and anxiety. Let me just look those up real quick. I just want to.
Trevor doesn't, you know, he doesn't feel those emotions.
Yeah, I've never heard of it, but so the thing I love about these pieces is that you were mentioning like this like Americana influence, which I love. Just like going in, being from North Carolina, I wasn't interested in it at all. You know, I kind of grew up imagining I'd leave, and then the moment I moved to New York, we're in Juilliard, I was like, oh, I kind of miss this. You know, go out, buy a mandolin, just dabble. There's just something about it that feels really natural. So you got this interest, and then you're working with these composers who are kind of both like the banner carriers of the like American symphonic tradition. And then you're working with Philadelphia Orchestra as like one of the iconic American, like this might be like one of the most American albums we got out there. Like,
right.
Did you hear that, Dave?
Seeped in
it's
there.
the most American album.
Yeah.
That's our tour manager right there.
We got the clip. But so about the process, because it's very clearly you, and it's very clear, like with Kevin's piece and Jennifer's piece, like I hear them, and very clearly Philadelphia. It just feels like it's that perfect balance. It's the like the perfect Venn diagram. How is it going about, like, from your perspective? Because I'm a composer, so I'm used to being in the other side of the seat. What is it like interacting with a composer, you know, who's writing a piece for you as a group? Like, what is that dynamic?
And that's part of what Renan was talking about. It's like, it has to be the right fit. And we talked a lot at the beginning. We want to have another fellow living soul who has the spirit of collaboration. And Jennifer Higdon, at the very early age, I mean, that was when GarageBand was like the hot thing. There was no such thing as Logic or, you know, any Ableton, none of that stuff.
Yeah.
This was GarageBand was the hot stuff on Apple Computer, and she brought that to like our first session, and we're like, wow. Wow,
Oh,
cool. Just Macintosh computer and then that.
Oh man.
And then we're like, but you're the master composer. She's like, no. I want to hear what you guys do. And then the first draft of music that we got looked freaking impossible because there was like, it was nuts. And she says, well, actually, I just transcribed your jams. And that blew our fucking mind. It was like insane for us to see that. And with Kevin, it's the same process. And we talked a lot about what we wanted. He asked us, "What do you guys want?"
Well, Trevor, you're a composer, so I feel like when crafting a piece like that for somebody, you really got to know them, right? Kevin also did say that he's never crafted a piece like this for anybody. So it's such a personalized piece. Usually he'll write something and then have the soloist play it, but this was such a hands-on experience where he came to a bunch of shows. He would call us, FaceTime us, and be like, "Hey, how fast can you pits?" And for us, it's like we have too much pride to say we always be like, "Oh, this fast."
Oh yeah.
And then
Go faster.
then I'll write something and be like, "Is this playable?" And of course, we'd say, "Yes."
Yeah.
Some of it came to bite us when we had to learn it, but but it's such an incredible experience to, like you said, it's so us. Like it's so Time for Three, our sound, but it's also so Kevin Puts and Jennifer Higdon, and that's the goal. Is that we're not just playing someone's piece; it's them interpreting what we are, and it's a full collaboration.